We have some breaking news out of Georgia to tell you about, where a manhunt is underway for two inmates who police say escaped after shooting and killing two corrections officers. Police have identified the prisoners as Donnie Russell Rowe and Ricky DuBose. Authorities say they fled in a dark green Honda Civic.
Now, the prison is located in Putnam County, which is about 2 hours southeast of Georgia. This all happened just after 8 a.m. while the two were working on a prison work detail. On the phone with us now is Paul Viollis. He is a law enforcement and security analyst. All right, Paul, we know that these two guys are on the run and considered extremely dangerous. Explain to us exactly what happens right now with law enforcement. What's the next step?
Well, the first thing to understand is that the inmates have all the time in the world to plan. So rest assured that this is a scenario that they, in all likelihood, have worked through their minds time and time again. Law enforcement is going to create a cordon. You're going to have a variety of agencies from Georgia State Police, Georgia Bureau of Investigations, local sheriff's departments, and police departments, and they'll set a far outer perimeter. You'll also have the U.S. Marshals involved in this as well, and they'll be tracking via satellite, if they can, from this particular vehicle and the description of the vehicle to local intelligence, and using also CCTVs in various jurisdictions to gather intelligence to try to track them down soon.
So we're hearing, though, that a witness saw these guys get into a car, a Honda Civic, and take off. How difficult does that make the search if they really are getting assistance from someone else who has a vehicle?
It makes it much more difficult. However, with the technology that we have and that law enforcement has today, rest assured, again, that they will be using the information they'll get from various closed-circuit television cameras around the city and around that area to try to track that vehicle down.
Yeah. You know, some of what we read, at least some of the local coverage, is that they overpowered the guards while they were out on a work detail.
Some sort of work transport?
Yeah. Can you give us an idea of just the type of security that's implemented? I understand that, you know, this stuff happens all over the country where prisoners are let out, not let out, but they're let out of prison to work. Give us an idea of how secure that process is supposed to be.
Normally, it's supposed to be very secure, and what I mean by that is, the staffing of it, and the with respect to the officers themselves, the positioning of, think of placing this really large circle around whatever work area there is, and having officers that are armed with long guns and short guns protecting that perimeter. So, when done correctly, it's very difficult to even come close to that officer or even make a move towards that officer.
And, as Anne-Marie has pointed out, that the reports are saying that they overpowered the guards, and then one of the inmates may have opened fire on this bus transport, killing the two guards. Not sure if they obtained a gun somehow prior to getting onto that bus for that work detail, or during the overpowering of the guards took their gun. How does that work in terms of the guards that would be in charge on that transport to be armed? I mean, what kind of protocol is there for them to protect themselves while also needing to keep order with these inmates out in a public setting?
Their first responsibility is the care, custody, and control of the inmates. That's their first responsibility. But what only will trump that and will supersede that is officer safety. So if their life is in jeopardy, they will use deadly physical force in order to protect themselves and to protect the inmates they're transporting.
And I guess at that point, if one of the guards had, drawn his weapon, now is that weapon more susceptible to being taken at that point, as opposed to being in its holster on their body?
Well, of course, the more accessibility to a weapon, the higher the probability that it could be compromised. But in a situation like that, where you're going to have to exercise deadly physical force, you have no choice in order to, other than just deploying that type of force.
All right, Paul Viollis, thank you so much for your insight.
Always a pleasure.